Everybody needs to do kind of a personal audit of this. Like, what happens if the internet goes down? Will you be able to get into your front door? Will you be able to start your car? Will you be able to turn on your lights, turn on the heating? I mean, how much dependency do you have on these systems that are extremely fragile? We've built these things in a very short period of time without much thought. We overthrew the analog world and said, yay, here's a new digital world. We're going to be like the Jetsons. And all started depending on all this stuff. And what that means is that we've got a very fragile system run by just a handful of oligarchs that are ruling our lives. And at any point, they could be shut down.
In a world that's quickly losing its sense of responsibility, Jeffrey Tucker delivers a powerful message about the decay of civic values, the dangers of dependency, and the growing fragility of modern life. He begins by explaining how people today have drifted away from the core idea of citizenship. The duty to think, act, and vote as responsible members of a free society. Freedom, he reminds us, isn't something that survives on its own. It demands participation, awareness, and effort. When citizens stop caring about their role in shaping their country, they open the door for manipulation and control by larger systems. Tucker then dives into how welfare dependency, especially through programs like SNAP, has quietly eroded human dignity. What was once meant to help people in need has now turned into a trap that encourages passivity and weakens self-reliance. He argues that dependency on the state doesn't just hurt the economy. It damages the human soul. It replaces pride, purpose, and independence with a mindset of entitlement and helplessness. And while it may seem like compassion, it often benefits corporations and bureaucrats far more than the individuals it claims to support. From there, he draws a chilling parallel to our digital age. As technology becomes more powerful and centralized, society has grown dangerously reliant on systems most people don't understand. From financial networks to artificial intelligence, our entire world now runs on fragile, complex structures that could easily collapse or be manipulated. Tucker warns that just as welfare dependence weakens individual willpower, technological dependence weakens collective resilience. His message is a call to awaken, to rebuild strength, integrity, and responsibility before it's too late. He challenges people to think critically, act independently, and reclaim control over their lives instead of surrendering it to governments or machines. The underlying motive is clear. Freedom cannot survive without responsibility. True stability, dignity, and progress come only when individuals choose to live consciously, work honestly, and refuse to let convenience or control define their future. Thank you for watching. For further updated related markets, subscribe to Fine Metals.
People don't hold that view anymore. We don't talk about civic duty. We don't talk about citizenship. We don't talk about the essential structure of our governing systems, all of which are bound up with the idea that we're going to be a self-governing people. So the people will elect representatives, and those representatives will go to the halls of government and represent our interests within a framework of law and structure of a constitution. So that is the idea, but there's a great deal of confidence that the founders had in the capacity of the people to manage their own lives without a despot from the old world, or even an old-fashioned European-style monarchy. So that's the core of the thematics of America. And yet you just don't find people who believe in it very much anymore. And partially this is because we've lost the sense of the meaning of citizenship. The term citizen is necessarily an exclusionary term. So you're a citizen or you're not a citizen. And that's become extremely blurred. And as a result, that has compromised our elections and discouraged participation. It's reduced public confidence in the very idea of a self-governing people. There's another factor too, and I don't think that people really understand this. If you're not voting, then there's no reason for the politicians to care about you. It's just true. I mean, you can be the biggest interest group ever. You can be posting on Facebook and X, all day. You can hang out at conventions, rail about this and that. But if you're not voting, if the political establishment realizes that you and your friends are never going to show up to the voting booths, then they are free to completely ignore you forever. It's the one source of power we have to show up and vote. And if you don't do that, you have just taken yourself out of the running for having any influence whatsoever. It's a question because do you believe in Jeffersonian democracy or not? Do you believe that people can manage themselves? And if you do believe that, and you believe that's what our country is, it might be that you have what's called a duty to show up on the Tuesday of first week of November or whatever it is, and that's part of what you owe the system under which you live, that our ancestors fought for. To build this system, and that duty falls to you as an individual. Yeah, usually the word stakeholder. Well, I think what it means is that you're in, you're out, right? And so. Stakeholder capitalism is the idea that only the big corporations and the big investors should really and the big interest groups should control things. And so normally and within arrangements of market, they use this word stakeholder is to disable democracy of shareholders, so the democracy of the customers, right? And like under the Biden administration, they said they wanted the internet to be run by stakeholders. And who are they? Big companies, academics, government agencies. Those are the stakeholders, and the rest of you don't have free speech. That was the idea. This loss of a concept of citizenship is an existential threat to American freedom itself. So part of the purpose of voting is precisely to reinforce this idea of citizenship itself. We need to gain a conception of what it means to be a citizen. That means you're a stakeholder in the governing structures of America. It's a right that's conferred upon you by virtue of the system under which we live and for which our ancestors fought. And even if they weren't your ancestors, somebody's ancestors fought for this system of government. And we need to shore that up, that idea. And, in a country where we put a premium on individual freedom, and I like that. But, the thing is that that the idea of individual freedom, while it may be your birthright, it still has to be fought for. You still have to gain it, because there's always a conspiracy to take it away from you. You are officially irrelevant to the entire process of the governing structures of the United States. I mean, that's just the reality. So if you're sitting at home right now, you've not voted, you're just inviting the people who are lording it over you to forget about your interests. That's just true. So that's the reason we vote, to remind the political establishment that we actually matter. That's it. There's a reason why the prices got so high before the Great Depression. It was mostly due to massively subsidized agricultural exports because of the Great War, followed by a credit expansion in the 1920s. So the farmers dramatically expanded the crops that were under cultivation to the point that it became too big. The boom was there and the prices were too high. They needed to fall. When they fell, FDR jumped in with the Agricultural Adjustment Act and the first food stamp program we had. But the purpose of the program was not to help the poor or feed people. That wasn't it. The purpose of the program was to bolster industry, right? So he was setting up a corporatist, fascist state and wanted to help big agriculture dig themselves out of problematic levels of leverage and expansion. So it was an industrial plot, and people don't understand this. But the food stamp program is not run out of Health and Human Services; it's run out of the Department of Agriculture. That's because it's a program that benefits the growers big ag, the wholesalers, the people who get the product, and then deliver it to the retailers. So this is basically a subsidy for Walmart to sell junk food. Okay, so it's the junk food industry. Now we're talking about the most obese, unhealthy population in the world. And it turns out 42 million people are getting their junk food for free at the expense of the taxpayers. I'm telling you, this is an outrage. So we gave them credit cards. So it looks like you're holding a gold American Express and buying your groceries. Well, I want to bring back humiliation. I want to bring back shame. I want to bring back embarrassment. And I want the person who's getting free food to have to be to experience that a disapproval of everyone in line. So I would like to bring back the term food stamps. And also, I would like for people to understand where it comes from. We never had such a program in American history. There are always people that need to be fed. There are always people that fall on hard times, but we've always relied on soup kitchens and church pantries and the like to feed those who are in need. Give you meds, make you sicker, make you dependent, give you some more junk food, make you even sicker, prolong your life as long as possible so the system can suck everything out of you, or you and your employer or the health insurers, so that a ruling class medical elite gets expensive. So who's benefiting from this? I mean, it's the big ag that's driving out of business local farmers. It's the junk food industry that's poisoning us, and then the healthcare industry that's living off making us sick. And taxpayers are paying for all of it. So, the idea that we're clamoring, please restart food stamps again. Give us our EBT. Where's my SNAP benefits? Okay, this is exactly what's wrong with this country right now. And I hope that this is a wake-up call. It contradicts everything about our nation's civic culture. If you're buying your Thanksgiving meal with SNAP benefits, you're betraying the spirit of Thanksgiving itself. It's supposed to be from the work that you do, with the productivity that you've accomplished in partnership with a vibrant commercial sector. That's proof that the nation can, in fact, feed itself without a king, without a despot, without a pharaoh. That's the idea of America. So, yeah, down the SNAP. A few weeks moratorium on these benefits is not a bad wake-up call, I would say. That article, I wrote it after a whole series of sudden, shocking lockdowns or shutdowns of major internet portals. In this case, it was the Amazon services. People don't really understand that Amazon's main source of profitability has nothing to do with their ability to drop off toilet paper at your front door, which is miraculous and great, but their main profitability comes from their server companies, which the government uses them for. In fact, the National Security Agency has a huge contract with Amazon servers, and many businesses around the country go to Amazon servers because they're so cheap and so supposedly reliable until they're not. So it collapsed and it brought down all sorts of other industries, including financial companies and banks and other social media companies and even airline companies and all these sorts of essential services. They just went dark for a day. And within this framework, we can mention that it's not just the digital technology, the internet and cloud-based computing services and all the rest of this stuff, and the app economy, which is, whoa, yippee. But now we're doing this with AI, and building you're blowing up the biggest bubble in the history of humanity by far, by 1,000x, rallying around this AI stuff. And I guarantee you it is going to explode in a way that makes the dot-com bust look like just a blip. It's going to be spectacular and tremendously ugly. And there's going to be meltdowns of banks and high flyers and Wall Street. And it's going to be brutal, out of which, yes, AI will survive, but on a much more rational basis. But this is coming. We don't know when. Is it next? Is it this week? Is it next year? Is it in 5 years? I don't know when it's going to happen, but it is going to be amazing. Locally, I use a cobbler, what's called a cobbler, which is now I think they call them shoe repair. Okay, but he's a cobbler. He's an old world cobbler. I think his name may be Giuseppe or something close to that. And he's 195 years old, and he's about 3 feet tall. But he's the best shoe cobbler I've ever seen, and all of his equipment is from the 1910s. Okay, so. And he only takes cash, but every bit of his equipment will run in the event of a calamity. And he's a great man. When he dies, there's nobody to replace him. He has no understudy. So, but think about it. I mean, and what technologies are you using in your life that have withstood a century and more of use? I mean, virtually nothing, right? But that's how long technologies used to last. Now we buy technologies that we know we're going to have to replace in 3 years. And it's absurd. And this is a very fragile situation. And you're lucky that you had an actual physical person answer you. I mean, that's not even true anymore. And we're impressed by the convenience, but that's great. It's great when it works. But you have to think about, well, what happens when it doesn't work? And that's going to be increasingly common. We're building systems that human beings no longer control, and that is weird. I've had this experience several times over the last couple of years, where every human being involved in the system wants to fix the system and wants to make something happen, but nobody is in a position to do it. And you suddenly realize the machines are running the people, not the people running the machines. And I would suggest that is not the way you want the world to work. But that's exactly what we're building right now. It's truly terrifying.